Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Nice. Guatemalan. How perfect for a cold, rainy, and I heard in some areas, snowy morning. We had a beautiful weekend. I had a chance to sit in the sun and read for a couple days. It was nice. Hey, how about that virus? It's something, isn't it? The perfect word. Plandemic. It's about right, isn't it? I took a poll. Will there be a baby boom in 9 months? 62% said yes. 38% said no. I'd like to see the breakdown of the types of people that cast those votes. That would be interesting. Well, now you know what to do with your fidget spinners while you're in quarantine. Spin away. I actually have one that's a glow-in-the-dark one. An Israeli doctor in Italy says we no longer help those who are over 60. So the triage is, if you're over 60, you don't get help. No fucking wonder there's so many deaths in Italy. It's not just this random virus thing that's just rampant, killing people. They're not helping people who are my age and older. They're just letting them die. Of course, with a little bit of morphine, because that's more compassionate. So you're not going to be gagging and coughing to death. It just suppresses and depresses the respiratory system, and you fall asleep within 2 or 3 days. They just want to make sure you're comfortable. Death by government. Don't doubt me on this. Poor folk are buying toilet paper. Rich folk are buying stocks at this point. Death panels are a thing in countries with socialized medicine. We talked about this during Obama's presidency. Liberals and Democrats didn't want to talk about it because it's true. It's happening everywhere. Don't rule this out. Being morphined to death in 2 or 3 days is cheaper than true medical care and nursing people back to health. Italy, I asked the question before this all came about. I said, is Italy too quick to place people on hospice or telling family members that their loved one will not recover and needs hospice, aka the morphine drip? I wasn't ruling that out. All medical care is not noble. Enough of this, the undying love and dedication of medical professionals. There are some evil motherfuckers that wear scrubs. So let's not put anybody on a pedestal. Anyone. I don't care what uniform you wear. You're not. Everyone in that industry, whoever you are not noble. There's bad barbers out there, just like there's bad cops and bad doctors and bad politicians. So enough of this untouchable medical professional bullshit. Yes, kudos to the ones who are sacrificing and working extra hours, but that's what you're supposed to do. Who was it that talked about, was it Chris Rock? Was it Chris Rock that talked about like men paying child support? A guy says, well, I pay my child support. Well, no, fuck, you're supposed to. You're supposed to support your kids. You're supposed to. Well, I'm a doctor. You're supposed to help people. Period. Getting morphined to death is not medicine. That might work on a battlefield. It doesn't work in a civilized society. I'm waiting for a beta male country song called If Corona Doesn't Kill Me, My wife will. There's a lot of country songs that just put men in the most despicable, weak positions. And once you have the lens on, it's hard to listen to certain music, isn't it? Where is the I can't pay my child support relief funds? Interesting. Everything else getting paid for, being proposed. With all the debt forgiveness and deferments and taxes postponed till July 15th, I wonder if child support payments will have this treatment. Fathers are not working and being told to stay home from many jobs. Criminals are being released from jail for non-violent crimes all across the country. Fathers? Fuck them. I wonder if there's a country music version of Harvey Weinstein. Is there some creep in Nashville who the stars had to give a BJ to in order to make it? Country music is not nearly as pure as many people think. Gone are the days when somebody was just found in a honky-tonk playing or on a street corner by an agent and said, "You need to come to my studio, you need to come to my office first thing Monday morning, here's my card." Gone are those days. There's now country acts. You're nothing but an act with about 30 country music phrases, and you got a country song singing a little bit of a twang. Gone are the days of pure country music. Long gone. What are some strong examples of people just accepting official stories as true? The first two things were JFK getting shot and the moon landing, things that I doubted. Others might be fluoride, chemtrails, the 9/11 report, Building 7 collapsing, Benghazi. What are some of the things that stand out in your mind that had official reports and official conclusions to try to wrap up and summarize and close the investigations that you know are BS? List them down below. I'd like to see that. I woke last night to the sound of thunder. How far off I sat and wondered. Started humming a song from 1962. Ain't it funny how the night moves? Bob Seger, 1976. I'm not sure why men paint their nails. Whenever I've seen it, there's always just something a little bit off about that man. I tweeted that. Some people said, a little bit off? Yeah. I'm not sure why people do. I don't know what it signifies. I've heard all kinds of symbolism. What do you think of men that paint their nails? No judgment. I'm just making an observation that they're a little bit off. It's better to fight a war of restoration than revolution. Restoring the country is better than tearing a country down and having nothing in its place. Looks like even vegans eat meat during the crisis. All the meat is gone in the grocery stores. Gone. What's left? All the fruit and vegetables you want. I guess even vegans are eating meat during the crisis, aren't they? Because they realize it's food. Just saying. All women are becoming traditional conservative women real quick, aren't they? When you look on Instagram and Twitter, various social media platforms. Look, I just made lasagna and I sewed that hole in your socks. Women who don't even know what a spatula or a sewing needle is, all of a sudden now are master chefs and domestic engineers. Maybe this coronavirus isn't a bad thing, is it? New York City issues a letter about sexuality and sex to its residents. Let me see if I can find it here. Sex and coronavirus. All New Yorkers stay home and minimize contact with others to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Here are some tips for how to enjoy sex and avoid spreading COVID-19. And it gives some basic ways that the disease is spread. Have sex with people close to you. You are your safest sex partner. Masturbation will not spread COVID-19, especially if you wash your hands and any sex toys too with soap and water for at least 20 seconds before and after sex. The next safest partner is someone you live with. Having close contact, including sex, with only a small circle of people helps prevent the spreading of the coronavirus. I'm not making this up. This is on the New York City website. If you usually meet your sex partners online or make a living by having sex, consider taking a break from in-person dates. Video dates, sexting, and chat rooms might be options for you. Kissing can easily pass the COVID virus. Avoid kissing anyone who is not part of your small circle of close contacts. Rimming, and in parentheses it says mouth on anus, might spread COVID-19. Virus is in feces and it may enter in your mouth. No rimming. Just remember that. During this corona crisis, keep your mouth off of other people's anuses. All right? It's official. The mayor of New York City issued this letter to all of the residents of New York City. And the rest is the usual STD information. But no rimming. That's out of the question. Single men, are you noticing an increase of your single female friends contacting you more during the crisis? Congratulations if you are. That means they recognize the calm that only sanity, clarity, and reason can provide. This was an interesting weekend, even for me. Let's talk about mustaches for a second. According to a study performed by Nigel Barber, what a great name for a researcher who studied mustaches. Results show a strong correlation between a good marriage market for women and an increased number of mustaches worn by the male population. This correlation may be due to the fact that men with mustaches are perceived to be more attractive, industrious, creative, masculine, dominant, and mature by both men and women. These traits would influence a woman's choice of husband, as they would suggest a high reproductive and biological quality and capacity to invest in children. So when males must compete for marriage, they're more likely to grow a mustache in an attempt to project these qualities. This theory is supported by the correlation between beard fashion, facial hair fashion, and women wearing long dresses, which then relates to the correlation between dress fashion and the marriage market. The higher up the dress, the less desirable for marriage the woman is. The longer the dress, think about this, the longer the dress or skirt, the more marriageable she is. It's the opposite of what women think. What does a shorter skirt bring you? One night stands and men who want to just use you sexually because you're just appealing to their biological nature, a man's biological nature, which is just to, but not to settle down. You want ladies, you want to be more marriageable. Longer dresses and modesty are the flag you should fly. Interesting news in 2020, isn't it? It won't be long before we have mandatory vaccines and social credit scores, as in China. This country is now ripe for it. Once people can snitch on their friends and neighbors anonymously, I guarantee you it's on. Game on. A potboiler is a novel, play, opera, or film or other creative work of dubious literary or artistic merit whose main purpose was to pay for the creator's daily expenses, just to put a roof over his head. Thus the imagery of boil the pot, which means to provide for one's livelihood. Authors who created potboiler novels or screenplays were sometimes called hack writers or hacks. Novels deemed to be potboilers might also have been called pulp fiction, and potboiler films might be called popcorn movies. It's a term from the turn of the century, about 100 years ago. Every communist country my father ever worked in, his co-workers in those countries all said the same thing. Next thing you know, there were tanks and armored vehicles rolling down the street. Is that happening near you? Tanks or armored vehicles? Living a catastrophe-based life. If you don't do A, then B is going to happen. Fear and catastrophe. Politicians do that with us citizens, don't they? If you don't do this, then this is going to happen. Or if you don't allow me to do this, then this is going to happen. You get the masses to believe it. You get them to shame those that don't believe it. And eventually you get lawmakers to propose it. That's how it works. That's how the game is done. Don't forget that. Are you in a long-distance relationship right now? Now, more than ever, your copywriting skills are important. Only those in long-distance relationships know what I'm talking about. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.